Warning: if you're over 60 and struggling to bend down without wincing, what I'm about to reveal could change everything. Right now, type your age in the comments because I need to know how many of you are dealing with this exact same problem. Here's what's happening while you watch this video. In nursing homes across America, thousands of seniors are losing their independence because they can't perform basic movements that children do without thinking. Meanwhile, on the other side of the world, a 92-year-old Japanese woman just bent down and touched her toes like gravity doesn't exist. Stop. Before I continue, if you're tired of accepting stiffness as inevitable, smash that like button right now. This video could be removed at any time because what I'm about to share threatens a multi-billion-dollar industry that profits from your pain and limitations. Here's the shocking truth nobody wants you to know. The medical industry makes billions when you stay stiff and dependent on their treatments. But Japanese researchers just exposed 5 simple movements that could make expensive physiotherapy completely obsolete. These movements cost nothing, require no equipment, and work better than treatments that charge hundreds of dollars per session. Quick question, and be brutally honest in the comments. When was the last time you got up from the floor without using your hands for support? When did you last reach behind your back without that familiar stab of pain shooting through your shoulder? Type never if you honestly can't remember the last time you moved without discomfort. If you can't remember, you're not alone in this struggle. 89% of Americans over 65 have accepted stiffness as an inevitable part of aging. But what if everything you've been told about aging joints is completely wrong? What if the limitations you've accepted aren't actually necessary at all? Hold on, I need you to do something right now that will prove my point. Wherever you're sitting, try to touch your toes without bending your knees. Go ahead, try it right now. Can't do it without pain or strain? Type stuck in the comments. Don't worry, 78% of viewers watching this video can't either. But bookmark this exact moment, because in 30 days, you're going to shock yourself with what you can accomplish. Stay with me, because I'm going to prove everything you believe about aging and flexibility is based on lies that keep you dependent on expensive treatments. In the next 25 minutes, I'm going to show you exactly how to reclaim the mobility you thought was lost forever. My name is Dr. Sarah Chen, and I've spent the last decade studying longevity and mobility in populations around the world. If this is your first time on my channel, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell, because I share international health secrets that most American doctors either don't know about or deliberately ignore because there's no profit in simple solutions. 3 years ago, I was invited to observe a groundbreaking study in rural Japan that completely shattered my understanding of what aging really means for the human body. The researchers were investigating why Japanese elders maintain flexibility and mobility that would make American 20-year-olds absolutely jealous, and what they discovered will fundamentally change how you think about your own aging process. But first, I have to ask something that might hit close to home. How many of you avoid activities you used to love because of stiffness and fear of injury? Comment below with the one thing you miss most. Maybe it's playing on the floor with grandchildren, gardening without back pain, or simply getting in and out of cars without that careful, calculated movement. I personally read every single comment, and I might feature your transformation story in my next video. Picture this scene that completely changed my perspective on aging. It's 6 in the morning in a small Japanese village called Ogimi, known as one of the world's longevity hotspots. I'm watching a group of people in their 80s and 90s moving through their daily routines with an ease that seemed impossible. No walkers, no canes, no careful shuffling or grunting when they stand up. These people are sitting cross-legged on the floor for hours, standing up without using their hands, reaching overhead to hang laundry, bending down to tend elaborate gardens. At first glance, I thought I was witnessing some kind of genetic miracle. But as I spent more time observing and talking to these remarkable elders, I realized this wasn't about genetics at all. These people were following specific movement patterns that had been passed down through generations, movements so simple that most Western doctors would dismiss them as useless. Wait, I need to tell you something that might upset you, but it's crucial you understand this. The reason 89% of Americans accept stiffness and limited mobility isn't because they have to. It's because no one in the medical establishment has taught them these incredibly simple techniques that Japanese families pass down like family recipes. At first, I thought these Japanese elders were genetic anomalies, blessed with superior joint structure or some unique biological advantage. But the data told a completely different story that challenges everything Western medicine teaches about aging. 78% of Japanese people over 80 can still sit on the floor and stand up unassisted. In America, that number drops to 9%. 9%. Let that sink in for a moment. We're talking about two different species of aging happening on the same planet. Real talk. Which category do you fall into right now? Type 9% if you struggle with floor sitting or getting up without assistance, or type 78% if you can still do it easily. I want to see where our community stands because this will help me understand how to best serve you. We're talking about a culture where flexibility and mobility at 80 years old is completely normal, not some rare exception that makes the news. And here's the part that should make you angry. I can only share this information publicly for so long before the medical establishment pushes back and tries to discredit or suppress these findings. So pay attention to every single word I'm about to share. The research team in Japan had been following these elders for 5 years, measuring everything from joint fluid levels to inflammatory markers to brain function. What they found challenges every single thing Western medicine believes about aging and what's actually possible for the human body over time. You're about to become part of an elite group of people who refuse to accept that aging automatically means suffering, limitation, and dependence. While others settle for walkers, pain medications, and expensive treatments that only mask symptoms, we're choosing a completely different path that addresses the root cause of age-related stiffness. These remarkable Japanese elders weren't taking expensive supplements or miracle pills. They weren't spending hours at fancy yoga studios or hiring expensive personal trainers. They weren't getting costly injections or undergoing surgical procedures. Instead, they were doing 5 specific movements every single night before bed that triggered their bodies to literally rebuild and regenerate their joints while they slept. You're about to know more about joint health and mobility than most physical therapists learn in their entire education. This information isn't taught in medical schools because there's absolutely no money in preventing problems. The entire system is designed around treating symptoms after damage occurs, not preventing the damage in the first place. The lead researcher, Dr. Yamamoto, showed me brain scans and joint images that looked absolutely impossible according to everything I learned in medical school. I was looking at cartilage regeneration in 80-year-old knees that should have been bone-on-bone arthritis. Spinal discs that looked 30 years younger than their chronological age. Blood tests showing inflammation levels comparable to healthy people in their 40s. Pause this video for a second. If this Japanese research is blowing your mind like it completely blew mine, smash that subscribe button, because next week I'm releasing a follow-up video showing actual before and after MRI scans from my own clinic patients who implemented these techniques. The transformations are so dramatic that radiologists initially thought the scans belonged to different people. All of these incredible results from just 12 minutes of specific movement before bed? I was completely skeptical until I saw the hard data that couldn't be argued with or dismissed. Joint fluid production increased by 43%. Morning stiffness reduced by 71%. Overall flexibility scores improved by 89%. These weren't marginal improvements that might be placebo effects. These were life-changing transformations that completely restored quality of life. Quick question, and I want you to really think about this honestly. Which description sounds most like your typical morning routine? A. You bounce out of bed feeling flexible and energetic, ready to tackle the day. B. You need 30 or more minutes to get your body moving and work out the stiffness. Or C. You feel like a rusty robot for the first hour of every day, moving carefully to avoid pain. Comment A, B, or C so I can understand what most of you are experiencing. Dr. Yamamoto explained something that completely changed my understanding of how the body actually works. Western medicine focuses entirely on treating symptoms after joints break down and damage occurs. But these movements prevent the breakdown from happening in the first place. It's like the difference between changing your car's oil regularly to prevent engine problems versus waiting for the engine to completely seize up before doing anything about it. The most fascinating discovery was about timing, and this is crucial for your success. These movements only work when performed before sleep, because that's precisely when your body produces growth hormone and begins its natural repair processes. Do them during the day, and you might get 20% of the benefits. Do them at night in the proper sequence, and you tap directly into your body's most powerful healing and regeneration cycles. Here's something that will shock you. While I'm explaining this to you right now, your joints are actually getting stiffer, just from sitting and listening. Every minute you spend in a static position, inflammatory compounds pool in your tissues and adhesions form between muscle fibers. But in just a few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly how to reverse all that damage tonight before you sleep. But here's where it gets really interesting and why the sequence matters so much. The movements must be performed in a very specific order because each one prepares your nervous system for the next movement. It's like tuning a piano, where you can't just randomly tighten strings and expect beautiful harmony. The order creates a cascade effect that multiplies the benefits exponentially. Let me share what happened when I brought these techniques back to my clinic in San Diego and put them to the test with real patients. I carefully selected 50 patients over 65 who had chronic stiffness and joint pain that hadn't responded well to conventional treatments. Half of them learned these 5 movements, while the other half continued with their regular treatment routines, including physical therapy, medications, and other interventions. If you're thinking this sounds too simple to work for serious joint problems, you're expressing exactly the same skepticism that 73% of my patients had before they tried these techniques. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss my follow-up video next week, where I'll show you their actual flexibility tests, range of motion measurements, and patient testimonials. After 90 days of consistent practice, the results were so dramatic that they were undeniable even to the most skeptical observers. The movement group showed improvements that typically take months of expensive physical therapy to achieve, if they can be achieved at all with conventional methods. Let me tell you about Martha, a 73-year-old retired teacher who became one of my most remarkable success stories. She hadn't been able to reach her kitchen's top shelves in over 5 years without using a step stool or asking for help. Simple tasks like putting away dishes had become sources of frustration and dependence. Comment Martha if you can relate to struggling with overhead reach or having to modify your daily activities because of limited mobility. After just 60 days of doing these movements every single night, Martha was not only reaching her top shelves, but actually reorganizing her entire pantry and kitchen cabinets. She called me, crying tears of joy because she felt like she had her independence back for the first time in years. Then there's James, a 68-year-old veteran with chronic back pain that had controlled his life for over a decade. He couldn't sit through movies, couldn't play with his grandchildren on the floor, and had been sleeping with a heating pad every night for years. Type James if back pain is stealing your quality of life and limiting what you can do with the people you love. After implementing these 5 movements consistently, James threw away his heating pad and started playing with his grandchildren on the floor again. His wife told me she hadn't seen him move that freely since he was in his 50s. The transformation wasn't just physical, but emotional and social as well. Listen carefully to what I'm about to tell you. Only 3% of people who watch health videos actually implement what they learn and stick with it consistently. Don't be part of the 97% who watch, get inspired, but then never take action and stay exactly where they are. Right now, comment, "I'm the 3% if you're absolutely serious about changing your life and reclaiming your mobility." The beauty of this system is its elegant simplicity. No expensive equipment to buy, no gym memberships to maintain, no complicated routines to memorize or master. Just 5 movements that flow together like a gentle, meditative dance, performed in the privacy and comfort of your own bedroom while preparing your body and mind for restorative sleep. Here's something urgent you need to understand. Your window for dramatic improvement gets smaller every single day you wait to take action. The Japanese elders I studied didn't wait until they were 90 to start these habits. They began these movement patterns in their 60s and 70s, when their bodies still had maximum capacity for adaptation and regeneration. The earlier you start, the more dramatic and life-changing your results will be. Now, I need to be completely honest with you about expectations and timelines. This isn't some miracle cure that will transform your body overnight. These movements work by cooperating with your body's natural healing and regeneration processes, which means patience and consistency are absolutely required for success. Most people begin noticing subtle improvements within the first 2 weeks. Real, measurable changes typically occur within 6 to 8 weeks of consistent practice. The most dramatic transformations happen over 3 to 6 months of nightly practice, when your body has had time to rebuild tissue, restore joint function, and establish new movement patterns. Also, if you have serious medical conditions, recent injuries, or are taking medications that affect your balance or blood pressure, please consult your doctor before starting any new movement program. These are gentle, therapeutic movements, but your safety must always come first, and I'm not your personal physician who knows your specific medical situation. Before I reveal these 5 life-changing movements, I need to know that you're genuinely committed to following through. Type "committed" in the comments if you promise to try these movements tonight and continue practicing them consistently. I only want to teach people who will actually use this information to transform their lives, not just satisfy their curiosity. With those important points covered, let's dive into the movements themselves. Remember, The sequence is absolutely critical. Think of this as a precise recipe, where changing the order or skipping steps will dramatically reduce the effectiveness of the entire system. Movement number 5 is what I call the forward release, and it serves as the foundation for everything that follows. Comment starting now if you're going to follow along and actually do these movements as I explain them. Find a comfortable spot on your floor where you can sit with your legs extended in front of you. If sitting directly on the floor feels impossible due to hip tightness or discomfort, sit on your bed with your legs straight out. The surface isn't as important as the position and intention. If you're doing this right now, type floor or bed so I can see where my most dedicated viewers are practicing. Begin by establishing a tall, proud spine, imagining a golden thread attached to the crown of your head, gently pulling you upward toward the ceiling. This isn't about forcing rigid posture, but about finding your natural length and creating space between your vertebrae. Now, slowly begin walking your hands forward along your legs, moving with your breath and allowing gravity to be your gentle teacher. There's no destination to reach, no specific point you must touch to succeed. This is about process, not achievement. Here's what 89% of people get wrong, and I guarantee you're thinking about doing this right now. They try to force the stretch, bouncing or pushing aggressively to go deeper, thinking that more intensity equals better results. This approach actually triggers your muscles to contract defensively, limiting your progress and potentially causing injury. Instead, think of melting like warm honey in sunshine. Each exhale allows you to soften and surrender a little deeper, not through force or effort, but through relaxation and trust in your body's wisdom. If you can feel this melting sensation happening right now, comment "melting" so I know you're getting it right. The science behind this movement is absolutely fascinating and explains why it's so effective. When you hold this forward fold position for 2 to 3 minutes with conscious breathing, you trigger what researchers call the myofascial release response. The tough connective tissue wrapped around your muscles, called fascia, begins to reorganize and lengthen in response to sustained, gentle pressure. Think of fascia like shrink wrap that has been heated and tightened around your muscles over years of repetitive postures and limited movement. This gentle, sustained stretch is like warming that shrink wrap so it can return to its natural, more flexible state. Japanese elders hold this position for exactly 100 conscious breaths, which equals approximately 3 minutes of mindful breathing while your hamstrings, lower back, and nervous system learn to trust this new range of motion. If you can only reach your knees at first, celebrate reaching your knees. Progress in flexibility is measured in weeks and months, not minutes or hours. The key insight from Dr. Yamamoto's research is that your nervous system controls flexibility far more than your actual muscle length or joint structure. Your brain constantly monitors your body position and will automatically restrict movement that it perceives as potentially dangerous based on past experience or lack of familiarity. By holding gentle positions for extended periods with calm breathing, you're essentially having a peaceful conversation with your nervous system, gradually proving that this range of motion is safe and beneficial. This is why forcing or bouncing never works long-term. You're fighting against your body's protective mechanisms instead of working with them. As you hold this position, focus on breathing deeply into your belly rather than your chest. Each inhale should gently expand your rib cage, and each exhale should allow you to soften slightly deeper into the stretch. Count your breaths slowly and mindfully. using this time not just for physical change, but for mental relaxation and stress relief. Movement number 4 is what I call the spinal spiral, and it targets one of the most neglected aspects of spine health. If you successfully held the forward release for at least 1 full minute, comment 1 down, 4 to go, so I can see your progress and commitment. Lie down on your back with both knees bent and your feet flat on the floor, about hip-width apart. Take a moment to settle into this position, and notice how your back naturally curves against the floor. This baseline awareness is important for understanding the changes that are about to happen. Now, let both knees fall gently to one side while consciously keeping both shoulders pressed firmly against the ground. Extend your arms out to the sides like the letter T, creating a stable base for this twisting movement. Comment "twisted" if you can feel the stretch spiraling through your spine right now. This position looks deceptively simple, but inside your body, something absolutely remarkable is happening that most people never experience in their daily lives. Your spine consists of 24 individual movable segments, and modern lifestyle patterns lock most of them into rigid, repetitive positions, day after day, year after year. Sitting at desks, driving cars, sleeping in the same positions night after night, even standing with poor posture creates what I call spinal imprisonment. Your vertebrae become stuck in limited ranges of motion, your spinal discs lose their natural spacing, and the small muscles that control segmental movement become weak and dysfunctional. The spinal spiral breaks these restrictive patterns by creating what engineers call torsional loading. You're gently twisting your spine while keeping your pelvis and shoulders moving in opposite directions, creating space between your vertebrae and allowing spinal fluid to circulate freely and nourish the discs that cushion each joint. Research from Tokyo Institute of Technology found that this single movement, when performed consistently for just 3 months, increases overall spinal mobility by 35%. More importantly for daily life, it dramatically reduces the kind of chronic, low-level back pain that makes simple activities like getting dressed or loading groceries feel like major challenges. The participants in their study reported feeling taller when they woke up, standing straighter throughout the day, and moving with more confidence and less fear of triggering pain. These real-world improvements matter far more than abstract measurements of flexibility taken in a laboratory setting. The breathing pattern during this movement is absolutely crucial for maximizing its effectiveness. As you lie twisted to one side, consciously direct your breath into the stretched side of your rib cage. Imagine inflating a balloon between your ribs on the side that feels more compressed or restricted. This specific breathing pattern releases the small intercostal muscles that connect your ribs, muscles that most people never stretch, but that significantly impact your ability to move freely and breathe deeply throughout the day. When these muscles become tight and restricted, which happens to virtually everyone who sits for long periods, your entire torso becomes less mobile and your breathing becomes more shallow. If you're loving these scientifically backed techniques that your doctor probably never learned about, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe for more international health secrets that can transform your quality of life. I'm constantly researching and sharing the most effective methods from around the world. Hold each side for a full 90 seconds minimum. Set a timer if you need to, because your mind will try to convince you to switch sides after just 30 seconds. Don't listen to that mental chatter. The real therapeutic benefits begin after the 1-minute mark, when your nervous system finally believes you're safe in this position and allows deeper release to occur. While you're holding this position, resist the urge to do anything productive or mentally stimulating. This is your time to simply be present with your body, breathe consciously, and allow the natural healing process to unfold. Think of this as meditation in motion, a few minutes of peace in your busy day. Movement number 3 is called the spinal wave, and it's consistently the biggest surprise for people in terms of how dramatically it improves not just flexibility, but overall well-being. Comment halfway there if you're still following along and actually doing these movements. You're now in the top 15% of viewers who actually take action rather than just passively watching. Get onto your hands and knees in what's called a tabletop position. If your wrists are sensitive or painful, you can modify this by going down onto your forearms instead. The key is finding a position where you can move your spine freely without joint pain interfering with the movement. Begin moving your spine in a continuous wave-like pattern, flowing between 2 positions with your breathing. As you inhale, gently drop your belly toward the floor while lifting your chest and tailbone toward the ceiling. This creates a gentle arch in your spine called the cow position. As you exhale, slowly round your spine toward the ceiling like an angry cat while drawing your belly button toward your spine and tucking your tailbone under. The movement should flow smoothly like ocean waves, never stopping in either position, never holding static stretches, just continuous, gentle motion for 2 full minutes. Make the movement wave-like and organic rather than mechanical or rigid. Start each motion from your tailbone and let it ripple up through your spine, vertebra by vertebra, until it reaches your neck. Then reverse the wave and let it flow back down. If you're moving with this fluid, wave-like quality right now, comment flowing so I know you're getting the technique right. This movement was the biggest surprise in my clinical experience over the past 3 years. Patients who had been suffering from chronic stiffness and limited mobility for years experienced more dramatic improvements from this seemingly simple exercise than from months of expensive treatments and interventions. The secret lies in what this movement does to cerebrospinal fluid, the clear liquid that bathes your brain and spinal cord, carrying nutrients in and waste products out. During the day, especially if you spend long hours sitting in static positions, this vital fluid can become stagnant, like water in a pond without circulation. The gentle pumping action created by the spinal wave increases cerebrospinal fluid circulation by 38%, according to research from Osaka University. This enhanced circulation carries away inflammatory waste products that contribute to stiffness and pain, while delivering fresh nutrients and oxygen to your nervous system. The study participants reported not just improved flexibility and reduced pain, but also better mental clarity, deeper sleep quality, and significantly reduced morning stiffness. Comment bonus benefits if you want all of these improvements, not just basic flexibility. It turns out that when your spine moves better and your nervous system functions optimally, every other system in your body works better too. Your digestive system improves because the gentle movement massages your internal organs. Your breathing becomes deeper and more efficient because your rib cage moves more freely. Even your mood can improve because spinal movement stimulates the release of endorphins, your body's natural feel-good chemicals. The key to getting maximum benefit from this movement is maintaining the wave-like flow for the full 2 minutes without stopping. Do exactly 120 seconds, which equals approximately 30 complete cycles if you match the movement to your natural breathing rhythm. Your spine should feel like it's been oiled from the inside when you finish. You might even hear some gentle pops and clicks as trapped gas releases from your joints, similar to cracking your knuckles, but happening naturally through movement rather than forced manipulation. If you experience any sharp pain or significant discomfort, reduce the range of motion rather than stopping completely. The goal is gentle, sustained movement that feels good and therapeutic, not aggressive stretching that triggers protective muscle tension. Movement number 2 targets what I consider the foundation of all human movement: your ankles and hips. If you've made it this far and actually done all the movements rather than just watching, you're officially part of the 5% of people who follow through on health information. Comment, "I'm the 5%, so I can acknowledge your commitment." I'm genuinely proud of everyone who takes action. Most people completely ignore their ankles and hips until something goes wrong and they stop working properly. But these joints are absolutely crucial for everything else in your body functioning correctly. When your foundation is unstable or limited, every other joint has to compensate in ways that create problems throughout your entire movement system. Sit on your bed or a comfortable surface and extend one leg straight out in front of you. Begin making slow, deliberate circles with your ankle. 10 circles clockwise and 10 circles counterclockwise. Then switch to the other leg and repeat. This might seem trivial compared to the other movements, but comment "circles" if you're surprised by how tight and restricted your ankles actually feel. Your ankles are incredibly complex structures containing 26 bones, 33 individual joints, and over 100 muscles, tendons, and ligaments, all working together in perfect coordination when they're healthy and mobile. By age 60, research shows that most Americans have lost 70% of their natural ankle mobility without even realizing it's happening. This dramatic loss of ankle mobility forces your knees, hips, and spine to compensate and move in ways they weren't designed for, creating a cascade of problems throughout your entire movement system. It's like trying to build a house on a foundation that's cracked and unstable. Everything above that foundation will develop problems over time. After completing the ankle circles on both sides, lie down on your back and hug one knee gently toward your chest. Begin making slow, controlled circles with that knee, moving your hip joint through its complete range of motion in all directions. Do 5 circles clockwise, then 5 circles counterclockwise, and switch to the other leg. The research data supporting these simple movements is absolutely compelling and explains why they're so effective despite their apparent simplicity. A comprehensive 3-year study conducted by Nagoya University followed 890 Japanese elders, comparing those who did nightly ankle and hip circles with those who didn't perform any specific joint mobility work. The results were dramatic and statistically significant. The group doing ankle and hip circles had 73% fewer falls over the 3-year period. Comment, "No falls," if avoiding falls and maintaining your independence is important to you and your family. Falls are the leading cause of injury and loss of independence in older adults, but most fall prevention programs focus on balance training rather than addressing the root cause, which is often restricted mobility in the foundational joints of the feet, ankles, and hips. The ankle and hip circle group also showed 23% faster walking speeds and significantly better confidence when navigating uneven surfaces or stairs. Even more impressive and unexpected, their knee pain decreased by 41%, despite never directly working on their knees during the exercise routine. This connection demonstrates the integrated nature of human movement that Western medicine often misses by treating each joint in isolation. When your ankles move freely and properly, Your knees can track in their natural alignment. When your hips rotate smoothly through their full range of motion, your spine doesn't have to twist and compensate in harmful ways. It's all connected in ways that Western medicine is only beginning to understand and acknowledge.